So this is then there's the delete methods and delete actions, whatever they call it, and this is the you can use all the counting for the pagination. I didn't implement it yet. This part you can do also this way to give it. So that means when you have a more records in the single page, you paginate it like 20 20 20, depending on how many records you would like to present in your single page. So that means this is the controller controller implementation. The user role controller implementation, it shouldn't be different. It's the same thing. So we define our request mappings, URL, and show all the existing register user, and then add new register user role, and then update existing user role to pass the specific user ID, get it user, and then update the specific user information, and then address delete information. Like the same things is you pass the is URL, and then you give it the address ID as the input parameter and delete the specific records. So that means our our model definition is done, repository definition implemented, service interface definition is done, service implemented, and we call all services in the controller. So I know that for the very beginner, the beginner who are the very beginner, there's hard to understand, but it's clearly defined how as the definition has to be done, how the implementation has to be done, how the package structure, how the implementation structure for the complete implementations. So what we need to, so that means we controller definition done. So our controller request response goes to the controller. Then now we need to implement our views. So let's have a start with the views that we already talk about this the address controller. So we show all the address information. So let's see show all the address information is here. So you see that's I say this is the more effective way to do this one. So you see that only the 12 line of code with including all the tag libraries and even to pagination on the internationalizations. You see that we include our header page for the all across our applications. So this is the pre-define our headers. So that means every pages in the application will be the same header, and we build as a template. So we include this header from the every user, every pages of the application. So that's it, the show, and then here the header information, footer informations, like the same thing. So this is the footer information to bypass to go the every pages of the applications. You can do in the external CSS. I include here the internal CSS. But even though you can write it a beautiful CSS and make a real dynamic way, because that's is possible to do. So only the cosmetics parts you can do very beautifully. But functionalities is the main part. If you did the functionalities, then some GUI developer or some HTML or CSS expert can do very beautiful job for you. So that's a clear part. That's header part and footer part. That means header and footer is a fix, as a template, and this is used every pages of your applications. So that means we will use those pages into the user registration application, user role applications, the pages, and the address information application. So let's clear this one, the header part. So now we go to you see our messaging part, the internationalization part. That's let's clarify this one first, the messaging part. So we have the German and English and French and default one, the messaging part. So we put it here, all the information that we need to. We pass the keys, our applications, then you see. So they call the keys, that's what we need, and all the leveling information here. So we put it here, the all level information. When you have needed to other language translations, just you need to change you use suffix and prefix. Your prefix need to change, and it's automatically change you the language part in your pages. that's the part we include the forms, the where we insert our entries, our add application. You see the form actions, and then your applications. You can redefine it anyhow, but it's just the way of doing this. I define like this. So it's a post methods, and then you put it all necessary informations. You have the address as per your models. You have a address reference attributes, and then city attributes, and address type, and then postcode, and then country, and then end of this page you have the button to create the new address. So when you see the real GUI, then we can get the effect of this one. So just look for close look at this one. So this is the form. So that means every pages, or page for the user registration, and page for the user role, and page for the address information, they have the really independent entry forms. So that means we build entry form indifferently. That's why I say so one developer is maybe responsible to build all the entry forms, and one developer may be responsible for the editing your pages. Only one developer is responsible for deleting all the pages. So that means every developer has own responsibility, and they put it in independent template for those pages. Then the end user, the main pages, you see that the main page is here. So we include this one, and then we see that the list of messages, we internationalization done by and localization you can done this by here. So here we see the list of address information. So what the list of address information look like. So we take we level it like from the message.properties file, message.properties files, and then we label it like this a thread from the table columns names, and so on and so forth. So here is the actions. So action means this tables has actions to edit and update and delete actions. So we iterate through the existing address information, and we pass it as a variables, and then we iterate each of the address in record to put it in the tables. So here is the most important part. You see that we pass the URL, and we pass the address ID, and then for editing, and you call the other page editing page for the from address editing page. You see the address edit page. So like the same thing is here. So it's a post method. You already defined your forms. You see that here is still the hard-coded part, but even though we can change it like form as is here, that's what I did. For the time short, I cannot do it. I have no enough time to change it, but you can do it. It's like what I give example here. So to level it from your message.properties files with the internationalizations. So this is the edit page, and then up the delete page, we need to delete page, and that's all. So that means we did our forms here, the independent, we include the form, and then we did our list of addresses, and this address tables has all informations about the edit and update and delete informations. And this is the footer informations. We already talk about this one. Every page is this one and things. So let's see the other pages how it look like. So other pages, exactly the same thing we need to do. So let's say we start our registration form, user registration form, exactly the same definition, the user registration form. This is the URL, you already remember, this is the controller part that we define. So when the user we will input, run the application, it goes to the base URL and goes to the specific controller and go to the specific actions and methods, what we said. So this is all the forms, and then this is the list of user page, and then list of user page. You already know here is our list of entries, and then here is the edit methods and edit actions, and this is the delete actions. So and then now is the same thing here for the user role. You get the idea, really clear idea how is it done. So we need a form, we need a list of user or list of domain objects to show, and within the list of domain objects, then we need to do our